I really don't want to hear another one.
Okay.
I really don't want to hear more, thank you.
I hear you loud and clear. Stop! Get away from her!
Ready for a new dose of SpongeBob animation errors? Well, pick some snacks and relax, because here we bring you some of the funniest animation errors that you can find in SpongeBob SquarePants. Number 1, Opposite Day. Have you ever heard about Opposite Day? Well, we didn't know about it either until we watched this cool Season 1 episode. We've seen many Squidward plans that have failed over the show's 20-plus year history, but little did we know that he tried to create Opposite Day. In this episode, Squidward tried to fool both SpongeBob and Patrick by making them believe that there was a day named Opposite Day. During this festivity, everyone should behave in the opposite way that they used to, and much to Squidward's surprise, it didn't have a good ending for him, because both Patrick and SpongeBob started to copy his behavior. And now let's move into some animation errors.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Squidward! Yeah! So
We found something strange right at the beginning of the episode. Well, we are pretty sure that unless you have some really precise eyes, you might have missed this one mistake, so here we are to tell you where it is. In this scene, Squidward achieved a very hard task, making SpongeBob and Patrick walk out of his house. This is such a great achievement that some confetti is thrown when both of our protagonists leave his home. If you take a close look at that confetti, you'll notice one very specific thing. When the confetti's up in the air, it is green, but the color changes to blue as soon as the confetti touches the ground. This might be a small error, but it is quite different from the ones we usually show.
Happy Opposite Day, Squidward! We hate you!
Let me show you guys how much I hate you!
SpongeBob used his belt to imitate Squidward, didn't he? Well, one key part of the episode is that due to acting the opposite way that he usually does, he puts his belt around his head to make his face more similar to Squidward's. This close-up of SpongeBob's waist is a bit strange because even though he has his belt wrapped around his head, we can see that the belt is clearly tied to his waist where it should be. Seems like someone forgot about this little detail. Number 2, HANDEMONIUM. Plankton has had many villainous plans during his tenure as Bikini Bottom's main villain, right? Well, this time he had a giant glove wreaking havoc all over the city. He was lucky that SpongeBob was able to help him to stop this madness, because we were really close to seeing Bikini Bottom's end. We don't want to spoil any more things about this episode's plot, but we really recommend you watch it because it's a really funny story that you shouldn't miss out on. Let's look at some animation errors. Well, if watching a walking glove wasn't strange enough, this scene also came with a very small animation error. In this scene, Plankton tries to assault the Krusty Krab in an effort to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula, and to achieve that, he uses a gigantic phantom glove. All was going as he planned until the glove decided to turn himself against Plankton and leave him alone, throwing him into a pot of hot sauce and leaving him to his own demise. The strange thing is that when the glove is leaving the Krusty Krab, the chum bucket is nowhere to be seen on the outside of Bikini Bottom's outskirts. Plankton was so focused on stealing the secret formula that he nearly lost his own restaurant. Wow, Mr. Yellow Teeth struck again. As we told you before, Plankton needed some help to end the glove's reign of terror. And who would help him better than SpongeBob? In this scene, we see that SpongeBob also found a handy friend to combat the enormous glove that Plankton created. Well, in this scene, when we see both of them in the roller coaster ready to fight the glove, we see that SpongeBob's teeth change color for a brief second, turning into a yellowish color for a couple of frames. Even the best episodes are filled with animation errors. Number 3, the masterpiece. It seems like Mr. Krabs' vanity doesn't know any limits. In this episode from the 7th season of the show, Mr. Krabs discovers that there's a new restaurant in town that threatens the success of the Krusty Krabs in the city. Being the egotistical crab that he is, he thinks about one strange solution to catch the attention of many new customers. He tells Squidward to sculpt a statue of his very own self. Now let's look at some animation errors.
Patrons, spring forth! The Krusty Krab will now seat you.
All right, you landlubbers, get the lead! Neptune's jewels!
Well, this wasn't the first time that the chum bucket disappeared in this video. Right at the start of the episode, when SpongeBob opens Krusty Krab's door, he discovers that there's absolutely no one waiting outside. Much to his surprise, this is not the only thing that's wrong in this video, because if you take a quick look at the horizon, the chum bucket is nowhere to be seen. This is strange, because like we said, it is not the first time that Plankton's restaurant gets lost or disappears during a SpongeBob episode. But every time counts, and it's a cool moment to highlight.
Okay, let's see it. Make sure you wear sunglasses or you may be blinded by my genius.
For sure, Mr. Krabs put a lot of effort into having the best statue ever. Squidward created a very cool statue based on Mr. Krabs, but even if the statue is called the masterpiece, this scene might not be a masterpiece at all. When we see Mr. Krabs posing for Squidward so he can sculpt the figure, he's completely naked, but if we take a look at what happens when Mr. Krabs is running to see the final result of the sculpture, he is fully dressed and wearing all his clothes. Maybe Krabs was lightning fast trying to dress himself, or maybe animators forgot that he could pose naked. In any case, it's a good thing to take into account in a cool episode. Number 4, PATNOCCIO. You might have heard about the name Pinocchio, but what about PATNOCCIO? This mischievous plankton scheme paid homage to the famous story of Pinocchio, but with very different outcomes. In this episode, Plankton used Patrick's relationship to go after Pearl so he could find a patty that Pearl found on the ground. Again, this is Plankton trying to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula, but this time he tried to steal it directly from Krab's daughter. But let's see if we found any animation errors.
Stealing our phone, Pop? Let me at him, let me at him!
Get him, Pinocchio!
We haven't talked about any missing limbs today, have we? Well, this animation error is a little bit hard to find, but we have very trained eyes and we found something here. When Plankton has the Krabby Patty in his hands and he's on Patrick's shoulder, his mouth disappears for a moment. Now Plankton can't even talk. Such a cool error.
I should do what the voice tells me to do?
Now that's a smart little sea star.
Do you know that SpongeBob is capable of trespassing against other people? In case you don't, here's a clip that demonstrates it. In this scene, when Patrick and SpongeBob are talking on the outside of the Krusty Krab, we see our protagonist walking through his best friend like he's a ghost. That SpongeBob never ceases to surprise us. Number 5, CopyBob Dittopants. Can you imagine how life would be if we had 2 SpongeBobs? In this episode, Plankton's schemes go as far as cloning SpongeBob. We don't want to spoil this impressive scheme, but we are going directly for the animation errors.
Morning.
Whatever. said whatever. There's only one explanation. I'm still in bed.
SpongeBob may have been cloned in this episode, but while something is duplicated, others disappear. In this scene, we see that Squidward has one cup next to him, right? Well, this is strange, because just a couple frames later, the cup disappears and appears right away. Squidward was experiencing a real nightmare by having two SpongeBobs at work, but these errors make it even worse.
I am a unique snowflake, and snowflakes don't stomp, they skip!
Again, the Krusty Krab is the victim of many animation errors in this episode. Here in this scene, SpongeBob loyalists will for sure notice that something is missing. Well, in case you haven't, when SpongeBob is running on the outside of the Krusty Krab, the restaurant's big sign is nowhere to be seen. Maybe two SpongeBobs were too much to animate, and the animators forgot about other things. There you have it, SpongeBob fans. Here are some animation errors that you can find in SpongeBob SquarePants. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel so we can show you more funny animation errors. Until the next time, goodbye!